Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Star Wars Coffee. In today's episode, we're going to be taking a look at the fact that there is a new wild rumor rolling around that Disney wants to redo the sequel trilogy, and they found a way to do that through The Rise of Skywalker. We're going to address that, and I'm going to dismantle that today here on Star Wars Coffee. So over the last week or so, there have been rumors floating around, and I'm seeing it everywhere. Everywhere I go, when I look up Star Wars news and when I go in and check in on everything, I'm seeing everybody talking about the fact that Disney wants to redo the Star Wars trilogy, and people have been asking me if this is actually legit. And so I thought, well, I kind of was hoping that this would just go away, but, that people would realize that this isn't going to happen, but it hasn't been, and so we're going to dismantle that here. So we're going to look at this article from We Got This Covered. People who would be peddling such nonsense as this, reportedly saying with this article, Disney reportedly wants to retcon their Star Wars trilogy through Dark Rey. We Got This Covered would be the outlet to continue to peddle this. They're not the only one, they're just one I know who throws out a lot of random stuff that has no basis in fact of terms of actually coming to fruition. So Disney reportedly wants to retcon their Star Wars trilogy through Dark Rey. Again, they're not the only outlet. This has been peddled by many outlets, so you guys can literally probably just search Star Wars retcon sequel trilogy and see a ton of random sites talking about this. But we're just going to take a look at this one, and I'm just going to dismantle it as we go. So, the reaction to Disney's Star Wars sequel trilogy has mostly been mixed, if not downright negative. False. People who hate the movie, as I said earlier, people who, in previous videos, people who don't like the movie voice their opinion. People who like the movie tend to just enjoy it and move on. Even The Force Awakens, which went down as the third highest grossing movie of all time, received backlash for copying the narrative elements of A New Hope. This it did. But, it's J.J. Abrams. That's kind of his thing. Now it seems that the Mouse House wishes to redeem the franchise by removing the storyline of the sequel trilogy through the veil of the Force. This new rumor comes from YouTuber Overlord DVD. Well, I got fooled by him in December before I realized that he's essentially just a bunch of crap too, who suggests that Lucasfilm wants to make the last three movies null and void by revealing that everything we saw took place in an alternate timeline. This is not true. This was started by a YouTuber, and I'm not going to mention it because this is not true, so I'm not going to give the publicity that I'm sure they wish to gain by this, but we will continue on anyway. Since they can't verify the information, the leaker warns viewers that they should just take it all with a grain of salt. That's because it's a complete lie. Still, the revelation is too interesting to simply disregard. It's really not, but now I have to address it because nobody's disregarding it. But it's also so implausible that it makes us wonder if it's all just the imagination of a heartbroken fan who doesn't wish to accept the facts that what's done is done and it's time to move on. In any case, the YouTuber says the following. Lucasfilm is preparing to render the sequel trilogy null and void. The events of The Force Awakens, The Last Jedi, and The Rise of Skywalker will be removed from canon, isolated in their own alternate timeline, and regarded as Elseworlds-like installments under the label of Star Wars Legends. This is not happening. Flat out, it's just not happening. One example of why this isn't happening is they just opened Star Wars World, and they use a lot of sequel trilogy things from all of this, like character costumes, including Kylo Ren and Rey, and they put them in the parks. You can do the ride with the Resistance in the park. You can build your own lightsaber, and you can see all these custom lightsabers with the Black Series, and you can see all of these things like Leia's and Rey's dark-bladed lightsaber. Why would they be putting all of this out if they had always intended to retcon it at this point? So, also, if they were going to be doing this, they would have to completely recast everybody, reset the narrative completely, and presumably, if they didn't want to do that, they would have to then gain back all of these actors for 3 more movies. And you literally can't do that with Carrie Fisher, so why on earth would they think that they would be doing this? This is just not a thing that's happening, okay? Common sense would dictate that this isn't happening based on the millions, just financially, based on the millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of billions of dollars that Disney has already pushed into this sequel trilogy on production, paying actors, promotion, distribution of the film, post-promotion, which would be like the release of all of the DVDs, the books, the comics, all of the lines that go into this as well. So all of the other mediums that they do, the audiobook, the actual Rise of Skywalker book with the extra stuff in it, none of this would have been a thing anyway. So I just can't I don't get it. I really don't get it. I'm kind of stunned that I'm even having to address this. So continuing on, the YouTuber then explains that it all takes place for someone to kill Palpatine when he's in the veil of the Force, thus preventing him from coming out of the other side on Exegol. This basically unravels the sequel trilogy's narrative, with the leaker adding, Palpatine goes into the veil and never gets back to Exegol. He is prevented from using the mirrors to return, he dies as he was intended to, and Bob's your uncle, all out of your problems are solved. What does that even mean? The solution is essentially Disney hitting the button and destroying the Kennedy-verse. That's kind of funny, but the Kennedy-verse. It should be the Dave Filoni-verse, because he's the closest one who's still in Disney with George Lucas, because he's essentially like... George Lucas is essentially the master, and Dave Filoni is Luke. So it could be like the Obi-Wan Luke, where Filoni is Luke and George Lucas is Obi-Wan. So, anyway, but it's not going to be as simple as that, as it looks through the Dark Rey will serve as the catalyst in the sequel trilogy undoing. When Rey enters the throne room, there's shattered glass all around. When she catches a glimpse of the movement in one of those pieces, Dark Rey suddenly emerges with her double-bladed lightsaber, implying that she's come from a mere world to fight her alternate ego. Yeah. No, not gonna happen. Obviously a fan theory. Obviously somebody took this and ran with it as news. So, this is not a thing that's happening. So if this was going to happen again, take a look at the continuation of that quote from the YouTuber. It says, Palpatine goes into the veil and never gets back to Exegol. This insinuates that they're going to stay with the same type of storyline, including the same type of planets. They're just going to have to redo the story. And if they're including Palpatine, that means they're going to have to re-sign Ian to do another deal, which he would do. Ian would do that, because Ian's like the best. And it's just... This would just, again, draw out all of these types of problems that you literally just spent... the last, they started probably auditioning for the roles of like Rey and Finn and getting the story together probably back in 2013, so 7 years, and they're just gonna undo it all and start all over. That's not gonna happen. This is not the DCEU. They're not gonna be doing that. Warner Brothers did that, or is essentially doing that, not really doing that, but kind of doing that, because they wanted to do their rival MCU and then they didn't when BVS flopped. So this whole idea is just completely ludicrous, and I can't even believe that we're having to address this. But fear not, the voice of reason here on Star Wars Coffee, this is not happening. Don't worry about it. This is just a rumor. It's at best fan fiction, at worst a blatant lie. So let me know what you guys think about this in the comment section down below. Did you buy this? Did you fall for it? Let me know. And if they were to recon the sequel trilogy, do you think that they would have to re-sign everybody, or would they just completely disregard it and hire new actors and a new narrative? Let me know in the comment section down below. Thank you guys for watching. May God bless you, and the Force be with you always. If you enjoyed this episode, and frankly, even if you didn't, don't forget to subscribe. Do it. And if you want to help spread the word, please give this video a thumbs up and tell your friends to subscribe. Please check out the official Star Wars Coffee merchandise, and don't forget to check out all of the content playlists on this channel, including The Rise of Skywalker, The Mandalorian, and much more.